on Steam. Now, recently we did a negative, more toxic video on the worst reviewed MMOs on Steam. Now, this is going to follow suit, basically just the same, it's just highest reviewed. It's going to be just statistically the highest reviewed. So this list isn't really my list. This list is really including games and ordered in a statistical order. Like, these are just the highest reviewed MMOs, okay? So don't yell at me because your favorite game's not on here, guys. But I will give you my thoughts and feelings on these games, as well as maybe a little bit of some meta commentary on some stuff and things about reviews and review scores and how Steam categorizes things. But this is a list of the actual MMOs. You click MMO, click MMORPG, and then just select games, and you're going to see a list of games, and I picked the ones that I define as MMOs from that list and go in order. Okay, that's pretty much it. Intro's pretty much over. Let's do it. Let's talk about some MMOs that are highly rated on Steam. All right, guys, starting out our list here at number 10, we have TERA. Now, TERA is the action combat MMO, and I got a lot of thoughts and feelings on this game. Now, if you actually get to endgame, you're going to see why people really like this title, but the leveling is definitely kind of freaking boring. I have personally played as a Lancer, and I'm looking to maybe replay again with some different classes. I know it's recently gone to consoles, right? So a lot of people are looking into TERA, and honestly, whenever I go to these events with other MMO YouTubers and stuff, a lot of people love to mention TERA because it's just like one of those cool pillars of the community that I think now a lot of casual audience members kind of miss. It's a cool action combat MMO, but you do have to get past the leveling. Now, it does currently have, with recent reviews, mixed at 171, but overall, all reviews mostly positive at 13,332. So I think a lot of people are going to be, more or less okay with this title. It's going to be really awesome for those who do enjoy hardcore raiding. Oh yeah, TERA's got some dungeons that will kick your ass, and it gives you the mechanics, the actual awesome action combat, in order to tool around and really play around with. All right, guys, coming up next, Elder Scrolls Online. Now, immediately, I just kind of want to say that, for me, my experience with this game has been fantastic as an MMO player. Now, I have played Oblivion, and I loved Oblivion. Skyrim, I kind of more or less passed on. I was really more into Dark Souls and some other action RPGs. But overall, I'm aware of Elder Scrolls, and I'm quite aware of MMOs. And I feel like this game is definitely give and take between the two. It's not a merger of the best of both worlds. It's give and take, and depending on where you're coming from and how you approach this game, it can ruin that experience, which is probably why it's not higher on the list. But at the same time, it's a freaking Elder Scrolls MMO, dudes. So yeah, in the MMO space, it's actually really freaking genuinely unique and refreshing. So if you want a game that has a really fun leveling experience that you can really just kind of sink your teeth in, just go slow and steady, fully voice acted quests, all that good stuff, then you can have a good time. Of course, it's not to the quality of the, single player RPG that is the Elder Scrolls series, but it's really freaking good for MMO standards. And when you actually jump in and do some of the online component stuff, yeah, it's not the best MMO, but as a whole game, as an online game, it's incredibly cooperative, and the PvP is insane, not to mention the skill building, which is maybe not as, I would dare say, convoluted as Skyrim or something like that. It's really complex, and for an MMO, again, you pick a class, kind of, but then you can do all sorts of wibbly-wobbly stuff with the skill builds. I'm personally running as like a ninja, roguish, kind of flighty healer, so yeah, I got invisibility, and I can heal kind of vampirically. Interesting stuff, some really cool things, again, in the MMO space. And for a lot of people, I know a lot of these online systems kind of pervert the Elder Scrolls formula for a lot of you guys, but I think over time, especially with the DLCs and add-ons, and the quests I've played, honestly, this feels great. If there was an Elder Scrolls Online game, an MMO, I really can't imagine it being any better. Now, of course, this game might not be for everybody. It does have recent reviews at mixed at 1,168, but overall, all reviews are mostly positive at 26,571, but it depends on if you like the direction the game is going in, where it has come from, depends on the perspective you have when you jump into the game. I definitely have to admit that, but if you have wide open eyes, I promise you, this is an actual, truly, genuinely interesting game that has a ton of content. Whether the content's for you or not, you hate the art style, the world setting, I don't know, but there's something here for someone, a lot of people, as you might imagine. So yeah, I think you should at least give it a shot. Okay, well, next up, we've got DC Universe Online. Now, this is published by Daybreak Games, so the hurdle that you're gonna have to get over is the fact that it says it's free to play, but it seems like a lot of people saying that, yeah, maybe it's not so free to play. Now, I haven't gotten that far into the game. I've always just jumped in and kind of just jumped around, right? Like, the character creator and the introduction to experience of this game has been some of the most phenomenal. Honestly, I'd put it in very highly, maybe like top 3, and the best first impressions I've ever had, MMO or otherwise. Like, it's just a really big, explosive game. You jump in, you can be like kind of a Flash character, a Superman character. You're doing all sorts of crazy stuff. This is the MMO with superheroes, in my opinion, until a new one comes out, probably forever from now. Who knows? But it's a really fun game. It's really action-packed. I think it's great for the family. But of course, there's some mixed reviews here. 124 actually for recent reviews. are saying that, Daybreak Games, the monetization, who knows? So if you guys actually know more than me, please let us know in the comments below. But as of right now, all reviews for all time, since it's been on Steam, very positive, 12,063. So some fantastic stuff I think is in this game, even though I haven't gone too far, haven't gone too deeply. It is still something that's very intriguing to me. And I guess if you kind of want like a crackdowny kind of Grand Theft Auto-y, just jump in, flop around the city kind of game, you could do that. And I don't know, if that's it, that's fine. You don't have to go too deep into an MMO. You don't have to consistently play it every single day to really get the most out of it. This game is still absolutely worth trying at the bare minimum. All right, moving on through, we have a game that I do consistently put on a lot of top 10s, and that's gotta be The Lord of the Rings Online. Now, whenever I do my top 10s, I actually try to create them as unbiased as possible, and I'm very clear with my biases when I do include something, even in the ordering. But this list is not my own list, and actually most lists aren't really completely my own. So if I say, hey, these are the top 10 best games, sometimes it's not always the best games for me. So why am I introducing Lord of the Rings Online like that? That's because I'm pretty freaking sure this game is not for everyone by far. This is a very role-play, very hardcore-ish. There's a lot of speed bumps that's going to slap you in the face for this game if it's not graphics, if it's the usual type of quests. But if you do read the quest, if you can absorb yourself into the world, if you can absorb the world, if you can actually jump in and really sink your teeth into it, man, there's a lot of stuff here. Yeah, of course, if you're a fan of the books, this is really the kind of game that's for you. But again, that's how reviews work on Steam, and whenever people do list videos, we do have to consider that. What is the general audience? What is the audience that this game wants to target? And are they targeting it well? Are they doing it well enough? And Lord of the Rings Online apparently is doing it well enough, with recent reviews being mostly positive, 93. All reviews very positive at 7,651. You might notice that those numbers were a little bit lower than some of the other games that we already talked about. That's kind of how Steam works. So this is a more targeted audience, but that targeted audience is enjoying the game very much. So that's how we're doing this. This is a ratio based on overall positivity and the percentage on that on Steam. Lord of the Rings Online, I guess, is doing good. Not a game for everyone, by far, but if you do have a little bit of an interest, this game might take you on for an adventure. All right, guys, moving on through Final Fantasy XIV Online. This is a title that I did not enjoy personally. Straight up, I'm going to tell you that the early game experience is objectively bad. It was not designed very well, and it really feels like a giant freaking Band-Aid. If you want to play Final Fantasy XIV, this is a game that is meant for kind of a casual roleplay audience to be enjoyed, I guess, as a whole, that then kind of bleeds into a hardcore endgame rating. Like, this game actually was really just shit on release, and then had to be reborn, remade, and rebirthed, and then it became a world seller, right? It's even competing with World of Warcraft, but it does kind of very similar things to World of Warcraft without having as many features. It's got really good endgame raids. It does have a lot of, I guess you could say, overall polish, really interesting customization with the characters, really good design with the characters. A nice world setting, I guess, but in the end, it doesn't have those epic battlegrounds. It doesn't have those epic boss fights that you see in some other MMOs. It just doesn't have the feature list of other AAA MMOs. So whether that's worth the time and money investment and slogging through the early game, I don't know. But for me, it wasn't, and for many people, it isn't as well. But since we're on Steam, we can actually see the reviews here, and it's niche, but we can see it's actually pretty highly reviewed here. So recent reviews are very positive at 162, and all reviews are very positive at 8,886. And what this tells me for such a popular game is showing that, well, people who are getting into the game since it launched on Steam after it initially launched shows me that people are aware of what the game was about, and the people who bought into it on Steam knew what they were getting into. So, conceptions and misconceptions mean a lot when you're about to waste a whole lot of time going into an MMO. So me going into Final Fantasy, I had some misconceptions, I didn't have a good time, but if I knew really what it was about when I jumped into it, I probably would have had a better time. So you're gonna also see some reviews on Steam be a little bit inflated, or maybe even worse than they could be or should be, because of conceptions. Did they launch on Steam? Is it a post-launch thing, secondary launch thing, etc.? And Final Fantasy XIV, I think, is the benefactor of having a late launch on Steam. Moving through, next up, we have Anarchy Online, a game that I actually did just download, and I don't expect to have a good time, but I think I need to mention it again, because technically it makes our list. I don't think anybody plays this game. I think there is actually 0 people online at pretty much any random given time. So this is a game I still haven't played, I want to play it, but that's kind of also the point of this list. Remember, this list isn't my list, this is Steam's list based on the percentages of good reviews. So it does have all reviews at very positive and a 74. Okay, a 74 people, well, and we have very positive. So this game has basically nobody playing it, and overwhelmingly, most of the people that did review this game played it in its historical state, as in they used to play it, because apparently this was the first sci-fi MMO, and apparently it actually did have a lot of incredibly innovative features that a lot of people liked and enjoyed, and it did a lot of cool stuff, but it just kind of got overlooked over time and stuff and things. But anyways, that's what a lot of people are going to say in their reviews. But they're going to review it as if it's still a good game. You see, these are online games. MMOs are less of a product that you just buy and always can experience at any time. They're more of an event. You know, they're a festival, and sometimes the festivals die, or they change. You know, they change, and different things are going on at different times. Or, they're dead. So Anarchy Online doesn't really have anybody playing it. Is it still a good game? You know, I think if a game doesn't have recent reviews at all, is probably a good sign that it's dead. So yeah, it just says all reviews. It doesn't even say recent reviews. So the more recent reviews that you have, then the more alive, the more kicking the game is. And of course, the more positive recent reviews are, then you know the current state of the game. I'm glad Steam implemented that, but I wish there was another thing that Steam could do to show us dead games. Of course, one tip I can give you is you can click on the community hub, and then there, if you don't see a player count, that means not enough people are really playing. So anyways, Anarchy Online, it seems like an interesting game. It technically makes a list, but I think for a lot of bad reasons. Alright guys, into the Big Bad 4, we have Project Gorgon. Right, this game. Every time I talk to other MMOers, we gotta have a conversation about Project Gorgon. This is a title that's like, maybe not even MMOers or MMO content creators, but like just people in general are taking a little bit of notice to this title, mainly because of what it's trying to do and kind of the trend that it's setting. Actually, we're seeing a lot of other classical styled MMOs coming out, such as Shrine of the Avatar, absolutely, and then we have Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen, and a few others, but Project Gorgon is the one that seems to be the most heartfelt. It is made by a husband-wife team, if I'm not mistaken. Two people are making this game, so that's giving it a lot of publicity and a lot of goodwill. Now, I don't exactly agree when I'm reviewing games to mention things like that, because as a consumer, the end product is really what counts. But the truth is that Project Gorgon is trying to do this really weird and quirky kind of experience that is just a little bit extra unique than just copying an old formula. Now, the graphics, you know, the mechanics overall, but the little details and the spells and the little interesting injections that they have there with some new game mechanics, I think breathe life into this game and have people really excited to have something that's kind of aesthetically, you know, sort of mechanically styled over classical MMOs, for sure. You know, something that might bring a little bit of nostalgia back, but still have new gameplay, something that's genuinely interesting to dive into and really feel that MMO magic that we've been missing. A lot of people keep talking about it. Project Gorgon is that magical MMO. A lot of weird stuff, dude. You gotta play it. So yeah, anyways, recent reviews, it's very positive at 54. Yeah, super niche game, guys. Yeah, you have some nostalgia goggles to play this game. And all reviews, very positive, 387. So not too many people buying in at $40 for a game that looks 20 years old, but apparently there's some cool stuff going on there. Definitely not for almost anybody, but for the somebodies. Yeah, Project Gorgon. I hope you knew about it, and if you don't, well, time to check it out. Next up, Realm of the Mad God. Now this is surprising, actually, because Realm of the Mad God has had dips of reviews. I've been following this game consistently. I actually just put it in a top 5 browser. It's the #1. Spoiler alert if you want to watch that video. For browser MMOs. Realm of the Mad God is a bullet hell MMO, and it was something of a trendsetter for a lot of different kind of games. You know, it showed that browser games could be fast and furious and action-packed, and I think it really kind of set trends for IO games, as well as some other MMOs. In fact, direct inspirations are coming. I think there's like this really bad game called Barrage. Don't play it. We talked about that in our negative Steam review list. Oh my god. And then there's a game actually by Digital Extremes coming out that is very inspired by Realm of the Mad God. So we got some cool stuff coming out from Realm of the Mad God. I love its open questing. I love it's quick and fast. It's actually rogue-ish. It's roguelite. So when you die, you can actually earn and unlock new classes and stuff. It's a really fun bullet hell MMO, dude, which like doesn't exist. Basically, really, Realm of the Mad God is still actually a very unique arcade type of light MMO. Really much enjoy it. A lot of people do too, but it does have some, you know, based on the grind and stuff. It had some monetization gives and takes. But recent reviews are saying very positive, 225. And the all reviews, which is a lot, very positive, 26,524. So the game's been out for a while, since 2012. It has some ups and downs, but overall it's still a really, you know, even with some people taking inspiration from it, a pretty unique experience. And a lot of people like to talk smack about it, but really, the numbers don't lie. Realm of the Mad God is worth looking at. Alright guys, our #2 MMO for the highest reviewed is actually Final Fantasy XI. Now, this is the Ultimate Seekers Edition. Maybe this is kind of cheating. I don't know how I feel about including this in the list, because whenever you look at games on Steam, it does show you the different purchasing options. So the people that would buy this version of Final Fantasy XI, the Ultimate Collection Seekers Edition, is going to be people who already loved Final Fantasy XI, continue to love it, and will just basically die for the game. So they're the champions, and they're the collectors, and they're going to most likely, they already know what the game includes. So they're going to buy the game, and as long as it, you know, works, well, they're going to rate it pretty freaking good. So it's extremely, very positively reviewed there. 76 reviews, though. So I just kind of wanted to include this in the list because I'm sure Final Fantasy XI was a cool game, and I'm sure a lot of people really enjoyed it and want to go back to it, though I can't recommend that myself. It's just the way review scores work, the way things are ranked on Steam or otherwise, often is the result of favoritism in some ways toward the niche audiences, which, I mean, maybe that makes sense. Maybe reviews should focus on an audience. I mean, if a game is targeting a specific audience, shouldn't you review that from that perspective? I mean, it wouldn't make sense for an FPS player to review a fighting game and say, oh, FPS players won't like this game. I don't know. I try to do my reviews for a general audience. Maybe that's wrong, maybe that's right, but here we can clearly see a game that is mostly dead, that costs a lot of money still, that's awkward to get into, that objectively is not a good game, technically, anymore in the modern sense, has a really high rating. So, I don't want you guys to waste your time. Again, MMOs are living, breathing things. You know, Final Fantasy XI. Cool back in the day, but I'm just kind of, you know, showing you the disjoint between reviews on Steam and not. Otherwise, it says all reviews 76 though, so it doesn't even show recent reviews. Again, a good sign. Maybe you shouldn't play it. Okay guys, our number one for the highest reviewed MMORPG on Steam based on the positive reviews, percentages, it's going to be a game called Orbis VR. Now, I wouldn't doubt if you haven't heard of this game. It's actually not as niche as some others. There's some other games that technically don't have as many players, but are talked about way, way more for their inventiveness or just because of their target audience. But Orbis VR is maybe more niche because it's VR, okay? It's a VR MMO, and it seems to have some cool mechanics. It seems to have some cool ideas, some cool concepts, and the people that do play it, that do have VR, are freaking loving it. But at the same time, it's like, how many people have VR? How many people that have VR are interested in an MMO experience, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. And there's kind of some competing games in a way when you take a look at like VR chat or some social server games. What does this game have to offer? Well, it is a fully realized MMORPG, and it's designed from the ground up for room-scale VR. Now, I actually got my first experience just recently. Went to Myrtle Beach, went to a place called The Nexus, and I got to have room-scale VR during a stream. You know, I was playing some boxing games, I was playing Beat Saber, and a lot of other fun stuff. And man, it wore me out, but it was so fun, so cool. But I didn't play anything online. I didn't have anything interactive. And I know people can have fun in VR chat, so like a full MMO with actual classes, mechanics, you know, actual spell casting, and maybe kind of FPS shooting, and, you know, just the overall VR mechanics, I think could be sick. I mean, could you imagine playing a brawler class, jumping on like a sandworm and punching it in the face or something? Or actually weaving spells in the air as you cast them? Who knows what could really happen? I don't know if Orbis VR really has that full potential realized, but those who are playing it in VR are having a good time. So recent reviews are mostly positive at 19. Yeah, it's still niche. But all reviews are very positive, 484. So technically more people maybe than Project Gorgon at the bare minimum. And this is way more exclusive. So there might be something really here. I know a lot of people say VR is the future of MMOs. Personally, I didn't really believe it, but if this exists, I don't know. There might be something here, if in this game or otherwise. But yeah, I don't know. If you see this game on stream, I definitely recommend it. If you do have a VR, well, why not? Okay, guys, so that was a lot of words. That was a lot of thoughts and feelings, and I'm sure you got some pent up if you didn't already keyboard warrior and just regurgitated something out in the comments below, as always. But if not, then hopefully we can have a responsible dialogue down in the comments below. Let's be nice, guys. Let's have some fun, absolutely. What do you think about these games? What do you feel about the Steam rating system and how people do reviews overall? That's including top 10s. Top 10s are reviews too. So how do you feel about stuff and things like this? How should reviews be done? How should they be explained and how should they be shown? I would love to know that as well. So yeah, just a little meta commentary on reviews here with this. And of course, just talking about some cool MMOs. Hopefully you give some a second chance and hopefully maybe you found one that is brand new. Maybe, possibly. Yeah, I mean, that's the dream, right? But again, I have to warn you, reviews aren't everything, right? Even if you have like Metacritic and these aggregated reviews, there's faults in that. Even if you just watch one person with a really strong opinion like me, there's faults in that. It's good to take from a wealth of these different review options and put it all together. And that's why I wanted to make a video like this. My strong opinions, but the literal list from Steam.